Thank you, Asad, for the very kind introduction, and thank you to War on Want for bringing us all together. As a Palestinian, I must say the past 4 months have been horrific, and the only way we have survived is through being in spaces like this with comrades. So thank you all so much for being here. I was telling Asad earlier, I haven't performed for 4 months. I haven't read a single poem because it's been very, very difficult to try and keep it together in public. But War on Want was my first home when I arrived in this country. It was one of the only organizations that was doing boycott, divestments, and sanctions work publicly. So I cannot refuse it when Asad asks me to perform a poem. I just hope I'm able to hold it. But if I don't hold it together, I know we're in England and crying is not allowed. But, you know, try, give the person next to you a hug. It's okay to have feelings. We're allowed to. And I'll start with a poem by Rifat al-Arir, who was assassinated by Israel in the latest acts of genocide. If I must die, you must live. If I must die, you must live to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings. If I must die, you must live to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings, make it white with a long tail. So a child somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze, and bid no farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite that you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment an angel is there, bringing back love. If I must die, let it bring hope. If I must die, let it be a tale. Thank you. And I think it's only appropriate to do my own poem, We Teach Life. So here we go. Today, my body was a TV'd massacre. Today, my body was a TV'd massacre that had to fit into sound bites and word limits. Today, my body was a TV'd massacre that had to fit into sound bites and word limits, filled enough with statistics to counter measured response. So I perfected my English. I learned all my UN resolutions, but still he looked me straight in the eyes and asked me, Ms. Ziada, wouldn't it all be fine if you Palestinians would just stop teaching so much hatred to your children? Pause. I look inside of me for strength to be patient. But patience is not at the tip of my tongue as the bombs drop over Gaza. Patience has just escaped me. Pause. Remember to smile. Rafif, remember to smile. You're on camera. Remember to smile. Pause. We teach life, sir. We teach life, sir, after they have occupied the last sky. We teach life, sir, after they have built their settlements and their apartheid walls. After the last skies, we teach life, sir. But today, my body was a TV'd massacre made to fit into sound bites and word limits, and they just want a story, a human story, you see. Every journalist tells me they need a human story. They need a hook. Maybe I can find them a woman who speaks English. Maybe she can be pretty. Maybe she needs medication. Just human stories, just human stories, just human stories. And will you condemn? Will you condemn? Will you condemn? How about you? How about you? Do you have enough bone, broken limbs to cover the sun? Hand me over your dead. Hand me over your dead and give me a list of their names, but make sure that it's in 1,200 word limits. And shh, don't mention that word apartheid. Shh. don't talk about that word, occupation. We just want human stories. Human stories, you see. Today, my body was a TV'd massacre made to fit into sound bites and word limits and hook those that are desensitized to terrorist blood. But they felt sorry for the cattle over Gaza, so I give them statistics and UN resolutions, and I speak their language. We condemn, we deplore, we very, very much reject, and we very, very much deplore, and we very, very much condemn. And these are not two equal sides, occupier and occupied, and these are not two equal sides, colonizer and colonized. And I recount 100 dead, 200 dead, 3,000 dead, 100,000 dead, and I recount and I tell our stories, and I learn their UN resolutions. But today, my body was a TV'd massacre to fit into sound bites and word limits, and I wish I could just wail over their bodies. I wish I could just run barefoot in every refugee camp, hold every child, cover their ears, so they wouldn't have to hear the sound of bombing for the rest of their life the way that I do. I wish I could run barefoot in every refugee camp and hold every child, cover their ears, so they wouldn't have to hear the sound of bombing for the rest of their life the way that I do. Because let me just tell you, there's no soundbite. No matter how good my English gets, there's no soundbite. No matter how good my English gets, no soundbite, no soundbite, no soundbite, no soundbite will bring them back to life. And no soundbite will fix this. There's no soundbite that will fix this. We teach life, sir. We teach life, sir. We Palestinians wake up every morning to teach the rest of the world life, sir.